All the Wacos we've seen here are made by Golden Age Simulations, and they're sold in two different payware packages. The first package is the basic Model 10 and its variations, a total of 4 aircraft, and the other package is the F series, which is 3 aircraft. Now, one thing that's going to put some people off right away is that these aircraft were originally made for FS9, otherwise known as FS 2004. So you have to understand these are not state-of-the-art custom-made FSX models. That really applies across the board, so visually and in simulation terms. Some of these aircraft have a cartoon-like appearance, but actually this reflects how they looked in real life. Some of the curves, and I'm thinking particularly on the F models, are very 1930s in their look, and also the paintworks are very unsubtle and bold, shall we say. These aircraft feature virtual cockpits only, no 2D panels included, and the quality of the virtual cockpits does vary. Again, these probably reflect how the aircraft were in real life. The basic Model 10 really just had a plank of wood essentially for the dashboard. The F models have slightly more sophisticated cockpits and somewhat more attractive. Some of these aircraft are equipped with radio, and the replica CTO has navigation instruments as well. In terms of the flight models, one of the things I was interested in doing this comparison really was to see if there were real significant differences in flying these aircraft. I mean, one of the difficulties with FSX and flight simulation in general is the simpler the aircraft you're trying to simulate, the more difficult it is, paradoxically. This is really because there's no physical feedback at all in FSX. The basic handling feels relatively authentic. The aircraft do have a sense of inertia to them, and they will side slip very well. And side slipping has an immediate and dramatic effect on speed and on rate of descent, which is pretty much a fundamental aspect of flying an old biplane like this. A couple of the aircraft don't have turn and slip indicators. Not sure why that is, but I presume it's authentic. It does make it a lot harder to fly coordinated turns, in fact impossible, I would say, to fly coordinated turns in the simulator. Power differentials are modelled. I'm not quite sure how authentic the feel of the Model 10 and the GXE with those Curtiss engines is. Flying the Curtiss Jenny featured in Part 1 is much more difficult than flying the GXEs. That engine seems very, very underpowered. Now, whether that's because that particular model is underpowered or the Waco models here are overpowered, it's difficult to say. I have a feeling that the stall behaviour of these aircraft is relatively unrealistic. With one exception, the aircraft basically don't stall. With power off and holding the nose up with elevator all the way back, most of these aircraft will simply stay upright and descend very quickly. Occasional nodding at the front end. The only real exception is the QCF. That behaves very bizarrely in the stall. It seems to actually gain energy from nowhere. Holding it back, even at very low speed, it will eventually go head over heels. Overall impression of the visual models is very nice. It seems to me the detailing and the level of quality really of the visual models is better in the F series package, but in general the paintworks are relatively low resolution, so if you get very close in you do start to see some pixelation. The level of detail on the exteriors is more than adequate. Of course, there's always a trade-off between detailed models and high resolution textures against performance, and these are very frame rate friendly models. They fly very smoothly in FSX. The sounds are done very well, very authentic, and it really is one of the things that's very important in creating the character of these very old aeroplanes. It's a really nice documentation with these aircraft. It's not slickly done, HTML pages, you can print them out, but some really nice history of the company and of the development of the aircraft, and also some notes on why these particular aircraft were selected. Personal favourites of the bunch, difficult to choose one, but for me the F series, they're much more nicely done models. The virtual cockpits are better, particularly the RNF. For me the Kinner powered INF is, I suppose, the most characterful model. Unfortunately it doesn't have a very nice cockpit compared to the RNF. The main issue with that INF cockpit is it doesn't have a turn and slip indicator, which makes flying it in coordinated flight quite difficult. But that engine is really what makes it special. In terms of other models, Golden Age have released as freeware their old FS9 taper wing package, which you can get from their site. It's got many variants of the taper wing. These are less sophisticated aircraft in simulation terms, and they do, I think I'm right in saying, they borrow sound and gauges from some of the default FS9 aircraft. You will have to do a bit of tinkering to get them up and running in FSX, but there's some gorgeous paint jobs, and the exterior models are, again, they're very well done. So that's it, Golden Age Simulations, the classic Waco collection and the Waco F and F2 package. So should you buy them? Well, that's not for me to say, but for the nostalgia factor alone, they're worth my money.